Well, I thought I should give you a little bit of a bird room update because we haven't really spent any time with the budgies, especially since last winter when they were breeding. And as obviously we are now going into winter again, it's time to think about the birds. So I've done a big change around in the bird room, and I'll actually be I'll do a whole video on it, so you can see who's who and what's where. But the four budgies and the 3 very yellow and green budgies you can see in front of you and the blue one are the babies from last year. So we've got 1 boy and 2 hens of the green and yellow, and then that little blue darling there is actually the guy that had splayed legs. And we tied the legs together, and he isn't back to normal. I can never breed from him, but he flies around and is perfectly happy. Back there, right at the top, that's Venus. You might not have seen Venus before because she basically spent a year in a nest box. I'm not going to breed from her ever again because she just goes into the nest box, but she lays eggs. She doesn't lay eggs, sorry. And she just gets a beast from sitting in there. So she just lives out her life in here. And then we've also moved Hansel and Gretel, the 2 cockatiels, into here. So they've got a lot more room to fly around, which is much better for them. But look out for a video coming up soon because I'm going to show you where the other budgies are and talk about kind of this winter's breeding plans. It's that time of year. That is a flower bud on the Christmas cacti. So my Christmas cacti is in my bathroom, actually on top of the toilet, look. And you can see now that obviously I took those cuttings last week, but we now have flower buds on most of the leaves. We also had a couple of flower buds develop on the cuttings, so it's really important that if that does happen, you just twist them off because you don't want that cutting to be putting energy into trying to produce a flower when it needs to be producing roots. The other really important thing to say is that Christmas cacti really don't like being moved, and if you move them, especially when they've got flowers on them, it's not so bothering at this stage when they've just got little buds, but if they've got actual developed flower beds on them and then you move them, you will often find that the flowers all fall off. So just be aware of that when you actually go out and buy them, because obviously if you buy them in flower, you're going to bring them home and then you're going to put them in a brand new environment, different ambient temperature, different light levels, and it will probably drop all of its flowers. So if you are going to buy them, try and buy them without flowers, or try and buy them when they're very just first budding, and that will give you a chance of actually getting them home intact without everything dropping. So I bought this last year. You can see it's quite a nice size now. I bought it last year, almost all the flowers fell off because I bought it in flower. I did what you're not supposed to do. So I'm looking forward to a good show on it this year, and then hopefully next year I'll have even more, and I am going to try and take some seeds. I'm going to buy another one that is in flower. I'm going to take some of the pollen and I'm going to cross it and see if I can make a few little hybrid crosses for myself. Messy or not messy? That is the question at this time of year, because as all these leaves are coming down, the clean freak inside me really wants to clean. Now of course you can clean on paths, but I tend to leave where it's on the flower beds, because the worms and the bacteria and insects like woodlice and stuff will all actually do their natural job and break down all these leaves and pull them into the soil, and thereby they are fertilizing the soil for you without having to do any work. It looks a mess, but it is better for wildlife. So if you've got a messy garden at the moment, don't worry too much about cleaning it off all the leaves that are on the flower beds. However, on the paths, I do clean them up, and I will be making something special with them tomorrow. So I'll make sure I do a video of that so you can see exactly what I'm going to use all of this for. But yeah, as I say, for leaves on the bed, leave them for now. I've still got my dahlias in, look, and I've still got some plants underneath them and stuff, but leave them and the bugs will draw them down naturally. So yesterday I was having a nice clear up in the garden and I raked all these leaves together, and also a little bit of grass as well. Now you can shove this in the compost and it will rot down quite happily, especially if you're turning it in with cardboard and other dry little bits. that you put on your compost, or you can make that with wonderful stuff called leaf mould, which turns into that rich sort of mulch that you can use around your plants. Very, very nice, rich, fertilising, loamy mulch. Now, in the past I've done it in plastic bags, but it's really important that you keep it moist, because otherwise those bacteria and the lichens and the fungi that are all in here don't have any sustenance, any liquid to help them live, and therefore break it down. And I found that black bags don't always work, so now I just use a black bin. It keeps the moisture in really well. Normally when I put the leaves in, I'll give it a little bit of water. So I'll just pour on water like I do with my compost heap, and then I put the lid on, leave it for a good 9-10 months, and then you get this amazing black loamy mulch off the top of it, which is great. So bung them in the compost heap, or if you've got a bit of extra time, get a black bin, or even some black sacks. You could try, as long as they're moist, and make some of this wonderful mulch. Well, as you might remember, this is my spinach bed, and I had a very poor germination rate. So as we haven't got frost yet, I went and bought some more seeds, and you can see within a week far better germination. So it's just so as to show how quickly seeds go off. So some seeds you can leave for years and sow them and they will still come up. These spinach seeds, that I only bought the packet last year, and they'd almost all not worked. I probably only got 4 plants, I think, come up, but you can see these are all new ones. So this is one of the original ones, and they took 2 to 3 weeks to come up, and these I sowed last week and they're coming up already. So if you do sow a batch of seeds and they fail, it's probably nothing that you've done wrong. It's probably they're just a little bit old. So I'm really happy now. This spinach bed is really coming together. I will have to cloche it, because these are too little, obviously, to survive a good frost. They need to be adult plants, really, with some basic, decent leaves on them. So I will cloche it, but that should give me some nice spinach harvest, not only through the winter on those warmer days where they do grow a little bit, but also come spring, all that first warm weather will make this bed go crazy. So I'm really, really happy with that. So it's the time of year to start thinking about your hostas and putting them to bed. So what I do with mine is I actually just stop watering them and put them into the greenhouse. So they're overwintered in the greenhouse. I keep all my hostas in pots, so they're just bunged in the greenhouse. They're not watered, although the soil is kept damp. So I generally sit them in a pot, have a bit of water in there, so they don't completely dry out, but they're not really, really wet. But of course these are sort of marginal pond plants, so if they do get mega wet, it's not too much of a hassle. But I just tend to keep them this way, put them in my greenhouse, a bit of water in the bottom. However, I am going to do a little bit of potting up, because as you can see, there's not only a hosta in here, but there are a load of self-sown foxgloves. Now they don't want to be in the greenhouse over winter, and they do want to probably be kept a little bit moist. So I'm just going to dig out this and repot it, and then save all of these little foxglove seeds. I literally only thought there were 4 or 5, but on closer inspection you can see just down here there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there'll be nice new plants that will flower next year as well, because they've started to grow this year, so these will probably flower for 2019, which will be fab. So yeah, I'm going to do that today. Well, after releasing Eve into the enclosure with Adam last week, I thought we'd just catch up with her. She's doing great. I was a little bit concerned that she was too small, too juvenile for him, but he's sensed that. So he's not actually tried to display to her or tried to attack her in any kind of territorial or mating behaviour. He's just let her be, and he seems much happier to have a little friend in with him. She's much more timid. So even though she's been grown as a chick, obviously, so Adam we bought as a juvenile, Evie we hatched as a chick, so even though she was hatched as a chick and she's been kept inside all this time, she is much more timid. And I think that's the vast difference between chickens and game. You know, chickens are friendly, they're domesticated. Game, even though we're keeping them, are not domesticated. They still have their wild element. Look how pretty he looks. He's really molted into gorgeous colours. So yeah, so we will watch this space next year. Hopefully we'll get eggs. We won't, well, we may let her sit on them. What we'll probably do is take some away and incubate them, and then let her keep a couple and raise them in here. But for now, very good news that they're getting on great. And hopefully, even though she is more timid, because she's been raised by us, she's not going to be so highly stressed, and she might last longer than the original Eve.